Kylie. How are you today?
Oh, great. How are you, Jenni?
I am very well. I've had a big week. I started my new contract, and so I've been all around Queensland this week, but I'm back in Brisbane today.
Has it been hot?
It was actually not too bad. It was like 35, but there was a nice breeze, so I didn't find it that bad, actually. It's quite different heat to Brisbane.
That would be hot for me.
Yeah. I'm surprised I said that, actually. I'm surprised I said that because I hate the heat. And how's your week been?
It's been fascinating and fabulous. Thank you very much. I'm definitely feeling the wind up of the end of the year, and I like that. I like the whole buzz and excitement of, yeah.
That's awesome.
Of the Christmas season. Also the fact that my daughter and I are watching a lot of Christmas movies.
I know. We start watching Christmas movies at the start of October. It's our tradition. So we start watching Netflix every weekend from October because that's when Netflix puts them on. And so that's our tradition in our house. So pretty much we don't watch anything else except all the terrible Christmas movies because they're fabulous.
That's so funny. My husband won't have a bar of it. He's like,
well, no, it's Michael and I's thing. That's what we do. We sit and watch. We force Zali, our stepdaughter, to sit and watch them with us. When we say force, she really doesn't like them. Yes. So to the end. So I am so excited about today's conversation because it's funny you're saying you're winding down. I've actually had so many new clients come and conversations in the last week and a half about new contracts for the end of the year that I'm helping other people with. And one of the conversations we've been having, and which is why we wanted to talk today, is about that email marketing piece, because I know it's so important. And I was thinking about this yesterday because a colleague of mine, and I'm not going to say who it is, sends a newsletter out, and it always says what's happening at, and then the name of the company. And then that's the title every week. And I'm like, I don't want to open it anymore. Because why would I open it when it just keeps telling me what's happening at? I don't know what's in it. There's no excitement. There's no engagement. So I really want to talk to you about how relevant is email marketing and why should we do it?
Such a very, very important topic. It's completely relevant for a number of reasons. Firstly, that it gets into somebody's inbox and it stays there until they delete it. So even if it goes into the spam, at some point we all go into our spam, whether it's weekly, monthly, or daily, and go through and delete what we don't want. So it's sitting in there, or it could be sitting in the inbox, or it could be sitting in somewhere. Maybe your filing system automatically puts it into a folder. Regardless, it doesn't go anywhere till you actually press that delete button. The other thing is that with your social media, even if you've got some great engagement and a lot of good stuff going on your page, it's not necessarily going to be seen by everybody. So I might not even log on until the next day, and that post has been and gone. And it's very rare that you would actually think, oh, let me just see what Jenni at Elephant in the Room has put up on social media lately. I'll just go over to her page and have a little look. That's not going to happen.
Doesn't everybody do that?
We're mostly just seeing what's coming up in our newsfeed, which is why it's so important to be doing stories at the moment. But that's another topic for another day.
Ooh.
But when it comes to email marketing, those are the two things really to think about, is that you're not necessarily going to be able to make sure that everybody's seeing it if it's on your social channels, but it's going to sit in your inbox until it is deleted. And that's a really good, important thing to know.
And I like that one. I like that one though, because that requires me to take action against the email. So I have to make a choice then. And for most people, if we know that it's kind of just the junky stuff, we'll just delete without looking at it. But most other ones, we'll do a quick scan, won't we, and see what's in there, and then we're already engaged.
Yes, absolutely. Now, a lot of people will say, but we just got too many emails in our inboxes as it is. So actually what's going on, I've noticed for a lot of people at the moment, particularly with this end of year and tidying up and sorting out and things, is getting into their inbox and actually unsubscribing from things that they just don't open, or junky or whatever. So what that means is, as yours comes up, they take notice and they go, oh, that's right, I have read some of those, I do enjoy them, I want to keep them there and make sure that I start reading them. So that brings to my first top tip of the day, which is your subject line.
Yes.
So
I love that.
What you just said before with that person of yours that you subscribe to, and it says what's happening at, you're dead right. There's nothing that's going to make me click on that and open it.
No.
So you don't want to be boring, but you also don't want to be repelling. So I find some people quite like the shock factor, what you could call clickbait, that you just you don't need to see some crazy bad words or something that's even false, that's leading you in to open something, and then it turns out to not be anything there at all. But you've got to be so careful with your subject line, not to use the words like free or offer or special or sale, because that's a surefire way to get into a spam folder rather than into the inbox. But
I think mine this morning was it's time to make lemonade.
There you go. Now, what does that mean? It means to me, I want to know more. I'm like, what do you mean time to make lemonade? Why is that? Why is it time to make lemonade? If you can leave someone wanting to know more and asking themselves a question in their head, then that's exciting. And of course it's going to be open. And I have to say, Jenni, I do open yours every Friday.
I like that.
They are a great read.
As I open yours too, because of the same reason, because it's compelling. And because you engage people with your use of emojis, and that's like a real brand thing for you. And I love that, because your engagement is not just the written word, it's actually the visual engagement you get with the emojis and the graphics that you use in your mail out.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing for me. So the little top tip with the emojis is not to put the emojis in the middle of the subject line. Put them at the beginning or at the end, particularly because if the emojis aren't working, certainly some people with an older computer or an older phone, they're not going to come up, so you don't want to have weird little replacement alien faces in the middle of your lovely line of great content. So make sure that you've got it on the end, so then it doesn't matter if they're broken or disappeared or something like that. Yeah.
So you said you had a couple of tips for today. So obviously the subject line is a really critical one. What else? Why else? And how else can we get value out of our email marketing?
Personalizing it. So this is one of my bugbears, is the way that people do or don't personalize their emails. So there was somebody that I was subscribing to, and she had really great value in her emails, so I always read them, but she went from saying hi Kylie or dear Kylie or yo Kylie, or she mixed it up a lot, which was great, to all of a sudden, out of the blue, no more hello Kylie, it was hey hun. And hun for me is like fingernails down the blackboard. I hate the word hun, particularly as the HUN.
Yes.
And then the next one, it was hey Dal. And I was like, oh
gosh.
Not my name. I've been in your database for a really long time. Stick with that, because as soon as I read hi Kylie, I feel, oh yay, it's for me. There's a lovely letter for me. Yes. And we all know, at the end of the day, it's automated and all that kind of stuff. But as soon as she removed that and went off to hi Dal and hey hun, it totally put me off. No.
But even though you know that it's an automated thing, it's actually the thought behind it to say that when somebody reads it, I'm reading dear Jenni, dear Kylie, hi Kylie, and I'm actually reading that. So, because we read emails like we read letters. So you want it to feel like it's for you, even though you know that it's automated, it doesn't matter, but you still want, it's like getting a birthday card without your name on it. Like, it could be for anybody.
That's an excellent analogy. That's true. We don't want a birthday card without the name.
No.
I have done that once when I couldn't remember how to spell it.
No, dear hun.
No, dear hun. So the really important one to think about is how you're going to address your people, but not even the name, but also the yo or the hey or the something. Having a think about what's your language, and of course that comes back down to your branding. So do you say dear Jenni? That's quite formal. Or do you go, hey, or, how is it that you start that off? Because that first opening line sets the vibe, sets the tone for what we're then going to go and read on. Now, there's a really interesting debate going on around, should it be more of a word-based, so like looking like a regular email, or should it be full of images and things like that? Now, clearly, there's a lot of people on both sides of the fence. For me personally, I love the pictures and things. And it just comes back down to brand recognition. And you see that picture there, you click on it, you get to the website, and then that's that same image reminding you, yes, you're actually in the right page to book that or buy that or whatever like that. So that's very appealing to me. Luckily, the stats are showing at the moment it makes no difference whether it's a newsy one with just words or picture one. It's totally up to you. But
Can I just ask you a question there? You said something that's really important to me when I draft an email, but I know a lot of people that I work with and a lot of people whose email I read don't do it. Putting the link in the image. Because I want to click, if I see an image and it's exciting me, I want to click on the image. But so many people I see these days, both on their websites and in their marketing, don't have the link in the image. And I'm having to scroll down to try and find this link in an email. And I'm like, I just want to click on the link. I just want to click on the image.
I agree with you.
Strange.
So my belief is put your links everywhere you possibly can. Yeah. So link in the text. So you say click here too. So those call to actions are so important. So direct people what you want them to do. So rather than just having a link sitting there, we don't need to see that. Add it as a hyperlink to the words click here or book now, or all those things that tells people what you need them to actually do. Make it easy for them. And yes, Jenni, absolutely, stick it in the image. Stick it wherever you can, but then your email program will have amazing analytics in there, and you can look at your report and see your map that shows you where did people click. So for me, I always notice with my newsletters that the click-throughs always happen in the first half of the newsletter. So I still add them down the bottom, but if I really, really want them to go somewhere, it needs to be happening in that first half of the newsletter.
And that, given the amount of information that we share, you want the stuff that you want people to know first up front anyway. So it comes back to that structuring of your email and the conversation. You don't want to bury the lead in email marketing. It's not about, savoring the best bit till last. It's actually putting it up front and letting people know so that if they do only have a short period of time, you catch them straight away.
Yes. So then the third top tip is about keeping it in bite-sized chunks. There you go. I'm not sure I like the word chunks, but anyway, bite-sized bits. So if you have like a heading and then you have what that little bit's about, and then have a heading and then what that little bit's about, and it might even be that each bit is going to lead them somewhere else. So it could be a snippet of a blog post and then click now and go through to read it on the website. Or a snippet about an amazing new product that you've got available, and then click through and find out more about it. Doesn't necessarily have to say shop now, but certainly explore now, or, find out more, etc. By having just those bite-sized little sections, it's a much more manageable way of reading your newsletter. And also make sure that your email thing that you're using, Mad Mimi or MailChimp or whatever it is that you're using, make sure that it allows you to attach files, because we'll often send a PDF and that people just click the link and then they can download that PDF, for example. So you don't want to be attaching those kind of things.
No, and I found that too. A lot of my colleagues, when I first started this many years ago, I used to think you needed to have the file attached. And then I realized, particularly as viruses become more sophisticated and people become more wary, having a file attached to an email, particularly coming from something like an automated system, can be seen as spam or will be pushed that way. But when it's coming from a trusted source and I know that you're sending me an email, I trust the links you're going to give me. And I love that download. I also do that and find that by doing that embedded download, it actually takes them there. Again, it's engaging because then they're reading it, then they have to download it. So there's actually a further connection and it builds that engagement with that particular piece of information. Yes,
absolutely. So giving something just the way that you would in a Facebook post, and, offering something, and, it might be, let me know if you'd like a copy of this free something or other. You can do that same thing within the email as well. And, reply now and but even easier if you can just go click here and grab it, because at the end of the day, you've already got the email. That's how you're,
that's right. Yeah.
That's how you're getting in touch with them. So
that's a really good thing. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I keep asking you, you're making all these questions you're saying when you talk to me. Is that piece around, I've seen, again, so many emails that come through. I'm on your email list, but if I want to download something else, I now have to click and give you my email address again. Yeah. And I know that's so that they can go onto the tag, they can get tagged and put in a particular group to say, hey, you got that download, and I know then that individual got the download. But it does get frustrating when I'm like, you already have my details. Like, why am I giving this to you again?
Yes, absolutely. That drives me crazy too. So another thing is making sure that you're not, so for those of you that are not using an email program, and I don't mean an email program like Gmail or G Suite, I mean something to send out your newsletters like MailChimp, for example.
Yep.
Some people are still just using Gmail, and then they make this ginormous mistake of putting everybody's email addresses into the queue. Oh my word.
I've seen that several times.
That's a sin and a half, isn't it? For starters, we don't want to be sharing our email addresses with everybody under the sun. So make sure that you're putting those into the BCC section, so the blind carbon copy, and only send it to yourself. That's my tip there, is just send it to your own email address.
Yeah.
But really, it's so simple to get started with something like MailChimp, which is also free. So jump in there, upload your database into there. And start making some beautiful things. You can create your landing pages in there and all kinds of good things, and all for free.
And I love MailChimp for that reason, is that particularly when you're starting out, if you don't have a huge database, it is free. If you only have one audience and just use it really mindfully with tags and set it up, it's such a good system. But particularly that landing page and that call to action piece. And in fact, I just set that up recently for a colleague of mine who doesn't have their website set up, but wanted to be able to capture people's information. So we set up a really quick sign-in page on MailChimp that meant that people can click on the link, give them their information as an expression of interest, and bam, they're straight away collecting email addresses without having to worry about building anything too special yet. They're just starting off, and they're already starting to get connections because people are clicking on that really simple link of, hey, I'll give you my name, email address, and phone number.
Absolutely, because we all now, 13, 14, probably nearly 15 years around that Facebook's been around for now. So you think about all those pages that you follow. So just because you want to keep in touch with what a business is doing, particularly if there's something coming up with a new launch or something, just clicking like and following their page is not going to guarantee you're going to see their information.
No.
I shudder to think how many pages I must be following, but I want to hand over my email address because I want to be the first to hear about when they open or when they launch that product or that service or whatever it is. So I personally want them to come into my inbox. So making sure that you're giving people a way to sign up to know more about what you're doing. So you're right, even just having a landing page for a website, if you don't even have anything at all, but as long as you've got a way to collect people's email addresses that want to hand them over to you, then it's a great way to keep in touch and start them off on that customer journey down that customer funnel.
Yeah. I have a question for you with regards to email. So that you talked earlier about, do you do emails and do you do images or do you text and what that looks like? I'm really keen to know, because I have a range of clients, some doing service providing, some doing coaching consulting like we do, and others that are that product-based company who are selling a specific thing. And so we always struggle, and when we help write their copy for their emails, because that's one of the other things that we do, is that when we're writing the copy, it's that balance between how do I sell you something, but also keep you informed. And one of the best examples I saw recently was Typo, which is a bit strange because I didn't even realize I was subscribed to Typo. And then I realized it's because Typo is owned by about 1,000 other companies. And so it's actually Cotton On or something random. But they had this great email, and it was actually it was a really cool infographic or little picture of the person who designed one of their new mugs. So it was actually a sales email, but the whole front story was actually sharing about the design, the guy who literally designed the mug that they're now selling, and showing photos of the design process. And click here if you want to read the full story, before it got into that sales pitch at the bottom. And there's a real balance, isn't it, when you're selling something, when there's, whether it's a physical product, whether it's, something that's one-off, how you balance the sales pitch with the value.
Oh, Jenni, you and I love that topic of telling your story and sharing your story. And it's so true, isn't it? That you were hooked in beautifully because you're interested in human beings. Yes. So there was the process of how that person did it. And that's exciting. It's exciting to go behind the scenes in a company or in a person's life and finding out more about what they do and why they do it and how they do it. And so, yes, humans are drawn to other humans. Yeah. And we're drawn to that thing that keeps us, what's the word, in common, something that we have in common. So for starters, by having a photo in there of the person, it's a face. So we're instantly attracted to a face. So a picture of a face, like when you look at stock images, even a face stock image will do better than just a generic picture of a computer, for example.
Cool.
So a person at a computer rather than just a computer. So there's all kind of stats around that are, you know, that the face is what's going to draw you in. So because we're looking for what's similar and what's familiar. So it might be like, oh, she's got freckles like I have. Or, oh, I really like her hair. Maybe I might think about that for me next time, or something like that. You know, so it'll start your mind thinking about what is familiar or what is similar in the face that you're seeing. But then, of course, like in that instance with the mug that was being made, you're not only seeing the person, but then your mind, without even being aware of it, you're starting to be intrigued about that person.
Yeah.
Want to know more about it. And so then you might click through without even thinking that you needed to have that mug.
No. And what I liked about it is, I think for me, part of it is where we are bombarded so much with kind of that, you know, buy my product that's made, and you don't know where it's come from, you don't know who's made it, and there's no connection to the actual product itself. And I think what I loved about the way they use this is that it's showing me the person who designed it. So I'm not just buying it from a company that's purchasing stuff that are, you know, 4 or 5 steps away from it that they have no connection with. It's not like someone said, oh, mugs are really popular this year, put a mug on the shelf and we've just found one. They've actually designed it and created this story. And so I was like, I love the way they share that, because I'd never seen that from that company before. I'd seen lots of other sales emails and buy this now and, you know, back to school and all that sort of stuff. But it was the first time I'd see them connect with a story. So I don't know if they've started to realize that as well with the stats that you're talking about, and really realizing people aren't opening just a sales brochure online anymore. People don't want to see that, do we?
We don't. And also with this, just everything now is the 50% off, the 80% off. Like, it's boring.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's really, really boring. And if you think about something, I'm not going to name names, but, you know, there's a printing company that we all get their emails. And I don't know if anyone would ever go and buy them at full price, because you know full well that by next week, there'll be another offer in your inbox again, because those sales are endless. And if you think about going to the mall or something, there's going to be at least half the shops you're looking at will have some kind of sales sign out the front, some kind of sales rack. So it's not exciting anymore. So my suggestion would be, don't just do what's on sale all the time and sending it out. Maybe it could be what's new and fabulous this week, or what's been the most popular thing this week, or 5 reasons why you need a blah, blah, blah. So I had this client, and I used to write blogs and work with newsletters with them. And it would be something like how to pack the perfect travel bag for flying. Well, that wouldn't be so relevant these days, would it? But it could be for a car trip. And what they sold was shoes. It was nothing to do with it. But then, of course, tip number 5 would be that you must have the best comfy pair of shoes, because your feet are going to swell on the plane, et cetera, et cetera. But it was giving value. It was giving this great lot of ideas of how to make travel easier and better. And, you know, especially when you're doing those long hauls and stuff. So, and those had great open rates and did really well, as did their blogs, have a good lot of reading going on. So,
and it's those top tips and the value piece, that value offer, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Rather than just buy my stuff. That just bores us. Also, take it back to when you're actually in person. You don't walk into a shop and the person at the front says, buy my stuff. And in fact, it's very off-putting when you walk in and they straight away say, well, everything's, you know, 30% off or something. Actually, it may not be off-putting. You might be like, oh, good, that's great to know. But then you might like to chat about the weather, or you might like to chat about something else. You don't want to just be bombarded with, do you need some pants? Do you need a top? Do you need, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's too much. We just want to have a different change, though.
Sorry, it's such a change to what it used to be like, where we had people, when you did go to shopping, you'd always have the salesperson come up to you the second you walk in the door, and there was that training. And I remember I was at a store when I was working in high school, and I was saying, you know, you walk in, make sure you eyeball every customer and talk to every customer. And then I thought, as the customer, I don't want someone to come up to me the second I walk in. Let me breathe. Let me see what's here. Let me work out where I want to go in the store first, and then make contact with me so that I know you're there but make it sure it's on our terms, not on their terms. And I think that's one of the things that I love about the way you teach digital marketing, and particularly email marketing. It's around, it doesn't matter how good we are. It doesn't matter what we want to sell. It's actually what our customers and clients want to hear from us and what value we can give them. And I know we've had this conversation a lot, but it keeps coming back to it, because email marketing is one of those pieces, isn't it, where we have lots of people send emails that are all about them and what they and how great they are. And so, hey, come and see with me or come and buy my product because we're awesome. But we don't actually care as a customer whether you're awesome or not.
Yeah, we want to be shown that you're awesome, not told that you're awesome.
Yes, and that story piece is so important to do that. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm thinking about a client at the moment, actually, who is a product based, but in a physical shop. And she's been doing some great newsletters and getting people in, but because of she's giving ideas for people. So, Christmas coming up, who's the hardest one to buy for? Dad or Uncle Joe or Granddad. I don't know, maybe not all of us find the men difficult to buy for, but many of us do. True. And so therefore, by giving tips of, great ideas for Dad, that's an awesome thing, because immediately I'm like, oh, good. Okay, I'll open that because I definitely need some ideas there. And even if you don't click through and buy that one, there'll be something that'll entice me to click through and just have a little browse. Then you get there to the website and there's a whole section on for men or for tricky men, or for, in fact, why don't people have a section on their website called for tricky men? Men are tricky to buy for. And, we need help with that stuff. Maybe men feel the same way about us. I don't know.
Maybe. But they do. We always do it for Mother's and Father's Day. They're the only 2 days that we really see those emails that come out and say what to buy for your mother for Mother's Day and what to buy your father for Father's Day. Like, they're the only two things we ever have to buy for. We never think about those other things like birthdays and Christmases and the other days. And that, I love that idea of that tips. I was having a conversation with a client about that recently. They sell dresses, and we're talking about how good it would be if they had a calendar, like an interactive calendar on their website, where they could go and see all the different events across the year and example and samples of the dresses and the trends and what would work at those events, so that someone who isn't really fashion conscious, is like, oh, I just need to buy something and I don't know what to get, could look at that page and see that connection. And they're like, oh, but would anybody go to it? I'm like, I would go to it. I would be like, what's new this month? And you could change the dresses out. And I love that idea of some interaction. So it's sharing that, helping me understand and helping me make a choice, so I don't have to worry about the choice. Yes. That's kind of part of our deal is when we're running a business, when we're working with clients, is we want to help you make the choice. We want to make it easy for you to say, I actually need what you're buying. I actually need your service. I actually want to engage with you because it's going to make my life easier.
Yes, absolutely. And, I really love that when people give us the what's new. I love the what's new, because I don't necessarily need to go to their website and wade through all the other stuff. But I wanted to know, for example, I got a newsletter a couple of days ago from this business that I've been following for years, and I hadn't heard from her in ages, but then all of a sudden there was a what's new, and they were launching a baby range, and it was absolutely beautiful. I don't even have a baby. In fact, I can't even think of a baby I need to be buying for this Christmas, but I was intrigued because I love what they do. So I clicked through, had a little look, and often what I'll do is I'll reply to the newsletter. So I'll send a little thing back going, great newsletter, loved it, or that always on brand, you do a great job. And then, of course, it manages to open up that whole new little way to communicate with them. And because often they'll write back and go, hey, thanks. It's always great to know someone reads it or someone appreciates it.
That's a highlight of my day when I get something like that, I have to tell you. Because it's like, yes, I just didn't spend 25 or 30 minutes writing this for no one.
Yeah, well, Jenni, that's a great thing to ask you when you just said that then. You said 25 to 30 minutes. So I wanted to say, how long do you allow yourself? So I'm not going to say how long does it take, because that's a different topic, but how long do you allow yourself to work on your newsletter each week?
So I generally do it in two stages. The first sometimes they happen at the same time and sometimes they happen separately. So sometimes it's me thinking about what the topic is for this week. And so if I'm taking a little moment to think about the topic, I might write a blog first that I'm going to then refer to on the email. But sometimes I'm finding my emails actually spark my blogs. I actually do it the reverse to you do. So I will have something that I really want to share or some information about what's happened in the last week that I think would be really valuable to the people reading it. So I sit and write that down. Now, I love writing copy. So for me, that normally takes me about 20 to 25 minutes just to write the kind of unique copy. And then I'll decide which events or which programs or which offer I want to put in as well. So I probably allow myself, normally it's under an hour, it's about 45 minutes in total from end to end, from the time I decide to start to the time I finish. Sometimes that's 20 minutes, but no more than about 45 minutes is generally allocated each week.
And what platform are you using to send yours?
So I'm actually using Drip at the moment, but I'm moving back to MailChimp mainly because it's integrated with Salesforce, which is the CRM that I use. So I like I can connect straight away with MailChimp into my CRM, my customer relationship management system, which means I can actually track all the emails and the opens and see the conversation I've had with my clients using MailChimp. So, but both are really easy. I love the analytics that Drip give me, but I also love the functionality in the landing pages of MailChimp. So I kind of go between both of them at the moment.
And MailChimp definitely seems to be upping their game in a big way, and lots of exciting new offerings and things.
It certainly is.
I have left a number of times, but I keep coming back. And I think I'm up to like 11 years of using MailChimp now. So when I finally decide on the CRM that I want to go forward with, I wonder if I'll be able to completely divorce myself from MailChimp.
It's such a good question, though. I was looking at that with regards to MailChimp, and a lot of the CRMs I've been looking at have their own inbuilt marketing systems, but the cost benefit of the inbuilt marketing system or CRM systems, even with something like Salesforce and some of the other CRMs, is actually not worth the cost benefit for MailChimp. If I had 10,000 people on my email addresses and I was on my email database and I was selling a high volume product, then I probably would use an embedded CRM. But for me, using MailChimp gives me the flexibility that I need, or even Drip, at a really low cost or zero cost, depending on how you set it up. And so the cost benefit for me, MailChimp is always going to win at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And they're just friendly. I love the vibe of MailChimp.
Yeah, I do too. I do always love the kind of little funky little things that you get, and then little notes that you get when you're clicking different things. Oops, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So my final top tip would be to set up your MailChimp landing page so that when you need to get somebody to sign up. So it might be that you put a post up on social media and say, hey, my newsletter is going out tonight with a very special offer for only my subscribers, and make sure that you're signed up. And then if you can just give them a super easy link, which they click, and then of course they can just fill out their details and on your landing page. That's a much easier way to get people signing up rather than. I
love that idea. That's a great tip. I love
that. There's a whole lot of convoluted ways that you can ask for emails, but it's much, much easier to do it that way.
Yeah. And it's being really honest, isn't it? It's saying, hey, I've got something for you. If you want it, sign up. And if you don't, that's okay. It's just a really simple transaction that's going to build a relationship rather than having to try and hide it into things and make it all, as you say, convoluted. It's just really simple. I want to share something with you. If you want to know what it is, let me know.
Yes, so definitely I always make sure that, well, not every time, but from time to time, it's an offer that's only for the email subscribers.
Yeah.
And then it's a great way to track things and all of that. But also to get people knowing that they're valued by being part, on that email list.
I love that. Well, I just realized, talking about value, that we've gone over again about 30-minute podcast conversation, but that's okay. We're kind of getting it better than the very first one, I think, which were about 48 minutes. So we're doing all right today. So Kylie, how can people connect with you if they want to, to reach out and chat to you more about what you do?
So find me on hellomedia.team. On the website, you'll find there information about one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and our very latest offering, which is coming up next week, which is a one-day Facebook ads masterclass. And then 2 weeks after that, a one-day lead magnets masterclass. And there's a special discount on those at the moment on the website. So yes, and Jenni, how can people connect with you and work with you?
So I'm on, find me on Instagram and Facebook at Elephant in the Room AU, and the website eitrconsulting.com. So go to the Facebook and Instagram. It's the easiest way to get to me at Elephant in the Room AU. And I've actually just launched a new coaching program called the Content Collective, because you know how much I love writing copy, and you know how much I love writing content for everything from tenders at the moment through to grant applications through to, you know, simple social media posts. So I've started a group coaching program because I'm finding a lot of people are having that challenge. So if you want to connect with me on that, just reach out on one of the platforms and we can have a chat.
Awesome, Jenni. And the last thing to tell people is that if you want to get into both our group coaching, we have a super, super special price for doing the both of them together. So send us a little private message on Facebook, or connect with us through our websites, or anywhere. It's been awesome, awesome seeing you as always, Jenni. I look forward to our topic for next week. As you know, I never can remember what our topic is, but you might know. I don't
have a table at the moment, so I don't today. But it's something to do with business processes and getting prepped for the end of the year, because we talked about we're a month or so out of the end of the year, so we'll be talking about how to help wrap up your business and get yourself prepared so you can have a break over Christmas and come back refreshed, because it's always important, even as a business owner, to take some time out for yourself. So we'll be talking a little bit about that next week.
And I'd love to be talking about how to automate things so that we can actually have a post going out on Christmas Day saying Merry Christmas, but it hasn't necessarily been you that's done it.
I love that. So we'll have lots of fun things to talk about next couple of weeks. Automation, setting up your business ready for a break, and taking some time out for yourself. Lots of business and digital marketing strategies.
Yes, awesome. Can't wait. Well,
you take care.
It's been fun. Thank you, Jenni, and I really look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye.
All right, bye.